All right, we're finally back on live streams. Again, I do apologize. I've had a very, very loaded beginning to my school year, which is not allowed me to be able to live stream as much as I would have liked to. I do apologize for that. Just gonna give people a few minutes to show up. Live streams are not going away. I just have not had the time to be able to live stream. We do have that now, and I should probably close that window at some point. Actually, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Lots of Breeders' Cup action. Obviously, wearing my Breeders' Cup hat. We are 5 weeks away from the Breeders' Cup, and we're gonna have a lot of stuff here on the podcast with the Breeders' Cup. Obviously, as I've been mentioning for a long time, that my friend Jay Pribman is going to be on with us in a couple of weeks. I'm not entirely sure when he's going to be on, but he's going to be on in a couple of weeks, probably next 2-3 weeks after all the Winning Your In races are on. And we're going to have him on. We're going to have a great show with taking a look at everything that's gone on with all the prep races and looking at the early projections for the fields. Not going to be 100% solely determined because horses could commit to go and then not commit to go. But we'll really be talking a lot about the big names and not, stuff like that. I'll bring someone on closer to the Breeders' Cup when we have a better idea of the field. I think I might be able to get Travis Stone to come on for that episode. Not making any promises, but just planning ahead for stuff like that. Obviously, we'll talk a lot about what has gone on today at Belmont Park and we're actually going to be, I'm watching right now. I'll have live reactions to a couple of the stakes races at Santa Anita. Probably will stick around all the way through to the Awesome again. No reason not to. Again, if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to drop them in the comments right there. I will answer everything you want to talk about, something. What have you, just anything, feel free to drop it in. We got a lot of time. I've been gone for a while, so we're back now. And also, by the way, if you have not checked out already my interview with Doug O'Neill, you can go check that out on YouTube. You can watch that either right now or after the stream's over. I don't care. It's a great interview. I mean, I don't think all my interviews are great, but I like most of them. So definitely, if you like Doug O'Neill, if you like hearing from trainers and stuff like that, then definitely feel free to, or definitely just go watch that because it's a great show. But yeah, so I don't remember what the name of this race is going on right now. Acclimate's the favorite though, and I'm going to be picking Acclimate. I actually was perfect this weekend on the stakes races that I had picked, and then I changed my pick in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. I had said on the podcast that I was going to be taking Code of Honor in the race, and then I decided to take Preservationist because I liked Preservationist's performance in the Woodward Stakes, and that didn't end up panning out. So I could have been perfect, but definitely a lot of great races on the East Coast today, and definitely some more great racing on the West Coast. So again, hopefully everything goes well at Santa Anita for this fall meet. There wasn't any incidents racing yesterday. There were a couple of incidents during training, but I think we could get through a Santa Anita meet with if we do better at Santa Anita than we did during the winter, then I think we're not that we're like done with dealing with all this stuff, but it's a good sign if you can get through a Santa Anita meet with it's a step in the right direction if you can. And obviously it's less time. But if you can significantly decrease the amount of incidents that you had from earlier in the season, then you're doing something right. Yeah. I wish they'd flash up the name of this race because I forgot what the name of this race is, but I'm going to be taking Acclimate in this race, so that's my pick. We'll see how this pans out. I should turn my TV volume up. This mic doesn't pick up anything, so you're not going to hear the TV volume, but just so I can hear what's going on. Are they starting up on the hill? I don't think so. No, they're not. What are they doing? What are they? Oh, they are starting up on the hill. They're not starting up all the way at the top, but they are going across the dirt track. So that is a thing. I didn't know I didn't know they were going to do that. I mean, they're not using the hill, but like the whole hill, but they're using enough of it. Oh, this is the John Henry Turf Championship. Okay, so Acclimate's the horse that I have in this race. He's leading right now by probably like 2.5 lengths. He's not the favorite, though. That's surprising. I mean, this is also a good thing if Victor Espinosa wins this race because, you know, Victor Espinosa, kind of a bit of a feel-good story because of the incident that happened with him last year and him now coming back. So yeah, I had a terrible weekend last week. So far, I've had a good weekend this week. All right, let's see if Acclimate can hold on to this. It doesn't look like it. Oh, actually, I don't know. No, he's not going to win it. Okay. Yeah, no. All right, well, you don't get every race in a weekend. I was going to lose a race at some point, but like I said, I've had a great weekend already. I got the two 2-year-old races yesterday, the American Pharoah, the Chandelier. Not that I'm bragging about that because those were easy races to figure out the outcome for. Then I got the Vosburg and the Beldame at Belmont. And then I changed my pick. I would have had the winner. Obviously, with the disqualification, that's a completely different thing. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. Oh, I didn't tweet that. I crafted a tweet and then I forgot to hit tweet, so I do apologize for that for anyone who. But I mean, you didn't really miss much. Also, just making an announcement. Gary Stevens' interview is going to be coming up soon. Although the one thing that I will say is, for the sake of being able to get as much content out as possible, we're going to be doing the interview sometime in mid-October. Right now, tentatively speaking, we're shooting for I think it's the 16th of October. So that's the date we're shooting for. Unfortunately, I am going to have to sit on that interview and hold on to it until after the Breeders' Cup. So Gary Stevens' interview, whenever we do it, if we do it before the Breeders' Cup, it will be out on. I'll make a commitment and try to get it out on. I'm not going to make set a date, but we're going to try to get it out the week of November 4th, I should say, not the weekend. But Gary Stevens stuff is still happening. Corey Lannery, I have absolutely no idea when that's happening. Angie Stevens and I are. They had a busy summer. I have been having a busy for last three or so weeks. So we're just trying to figure out stuff with Gary, and we'll figure out everything else. I honestly am thinking that I might push that off until next year, or wait until Corey's done with wherever Corey's running in the winter. Corey's going to definitely have some time off during the winter, so that's probably when we can get that. I'm going to work on getting the interview that I did with Jay Priven out, because I do want to have that out for I do want to have that out for before Jay Priven comes on the show again. So, but Jay Priven's not going to be coming on the show to answer a bunch of questions. Jay Priven's coming on the show. We're going to do some rapid fire Breeders' Cup talk. It's not like it's not some. No, I don't want to say that it's not fun, but different than what we originally brought Jay on the show for. So, like I said, have been saying for a while, that's coming. We're looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. I'm really excited for this Breeders' Cup. I think, even with all the defections, it has a possibility to be a really good Breeders' Cup. But yeah, so a lot of stuff. The Awesome Again is later today. I will say the other stakes race, I forget the name of this race too, but I got Paved in that. Paved was the good grass filly who actually last year won the El Camino Real Derby. And one of the few fillies that has won races on the Kentucky Derby Trail. She probably is the first filly to win a Derby points race. I actually don't have any way to back that up, but that's just my guess, is that she's the first filly to win a Derby points race. But anyway, so she's back. They never really intended on her running on the dirt, but pretty good grass filly Paved is. But yeah, with all the defections in the Breeders' Cup, I still think it's a fairly good. I still think it's going to be a fairly good Breeders' Cup. Also, I should say, a project that I also have been working on is I'm putting together for the 35th anniversary of the Breeders' Cup, I'm putting together not one single compilation, because if it was one single compilation, it would be over an hour long, and I don't want to sit through. I wouldn't want to sit through an hour. And I know long videos are not people's favorite things, but that is something that's coming up in the future. We will have that at some point. It's actually up on a test YouTube channel, so if you'd like to go take a look at it and see, just let me know, because I'd actually appreciate that if anyone would like to do that. Just go check, see if I made any mistakes or left out any races. I put it up, and then I went back and I did some more looking, and there were some races that I missed that may or may not be caught by other people. So, definitely tell me if you think I missed something. And the worst thing I would say is I already added that race pack. But so every year the Breeders' Cup, so from 1984 all the way through 2018, 35 years of Breeders' Cup. Oh, here we go. Here's the story about Santa Anita. I'll have some reactions to that.
Santa Anita enacted several reforms in response, and over the last 6 months, 8 horses have died for a total of 31 since December 26. In late June, Breeders' Cup officials said they embrace the track's reforms, and the World Championships, the most prestigious annual weekend in the sport, are set to take place here in just over a month. Nick Luck is with the Stronach Group's new acting executive director for California Racing, Aiden Butler, and Chief.
I mean, basically what they're saying is what you would expect them to say.
First of all, how does Santa Anita differ now to this place 1 year ago?
Well, I'll obviously let Dr. Benson talk about the reforms, but really we've tried to take it back to the fundamental foundations of horse racing, safety being the key. And then once we feel that safety is correct and safety is right, we've done everything in our power to do so. We look at bringing the...
I mean, all this is just politically correct stuff.
It's such a beautiful sport, man. It's such a beautiful day.
I mean, I'm not saying that there's any issues with being politically correct, because I mean, the politically correct stuff is what should be, is the way that stuff should be.
We have a bunch of new reforms regarding medication and training, as well as racing. In addition, every day and every moment that these horses are on the track, They're watched by not one, but 3 veterinarians.
I mean, that's not a lie. Horses, there's a lot of attention paid to horses. There's a lot more attention paid to horses than people give everyone else credit for, or that the naysayers give people credit for. So I will say that that is true. It's not all hunky dory, but it's not as bad. The next race coming up is the Rodeo Drive.
As a new racetrack executive, hey, Butler, what do you say to that?
I mean, we look forward to reform. We've been trying to lead the charge, particularly in California, on reforming the whole game out here. The governor, quite rightly, is pushing hard, and we really look forward to working with him on it. But I think we are pretty happy with where we've got to so far, but we by no means finished.
I don't think you can say you're happy with where you got to at this point. If you were Del Mar, that would make sense, but I don't think you should be happy with where you're at this point. You should be committed to going further than where you are at this point.
Quite frankly, they have been nothing short of amazingly helpful. I mean, I think that the whole tenor of racing in California has changed. These reforms have been embraced, and instead of people seeing these as an impediment to their training, they've really seen them as a way to embrace horse safety.
Okay, if people think that reforms are impediment to their or aren't an impediment to their training, then why do you have 600 plus people in the industry signing on to a petition to get rid or to oppose the abolition of LASIK use? I'm not saying that LASIK should be gotten rid of or not, but obviously if you are at some point wanting to phase out the complete use of all drugs, which is the goal that everyone has, or at least says that they have, then that's not it. If you have trainers thinking that, if you have trainers and people in the industry signing on to a thing that says we don't agree with the position of getting rid of the LASIK, that shows that people think it's an impediment to their training.
Needed to be made. And I know a lot of people out there are probably saying, why did it take all these horse deaths for changes like this to happen? Why wasn't it done before in Santa Anita and at tracks around the country? And I think the fact of the matter is, not just in horse racing, but in any sport, sometimes it takes unfortunate circumstances, bad things to happen to spur the kind of changes that should.
I mean, that is a true statement. It does take bad things. What Randy Moss just said is, he said sometimes in sports it takes a bad thing happening to lead to changes. And that is a true thing. Bad things happen in every sport. Bad things happen, and it requires changes to be made.
Because the unthinkable was possible that this place that's been around since 1934 might actually be shut down. If that's what it takes to make these kind of changes, then
Jerry, Randy, I don't think that was a. I don't think it's that. He mentioned that there was a possibility that Santa Anita could be shut down. That possibility still exists. That possibility has existed and will exist for every day going forward in the future. That's just a reality. Because in California, you do have the I forget what it's called. I think it's something like the initiative. There's some kind of thing where you can get a petition, you get the required amount of signatures, and you get that thing on the ballot, whatever your ballot initiative, that's what it's called. You get a certain amount of signatures, and that it gets a measure on the ballot, and then the public votes on it. And you, with all the negative press in horse racing, whether or not it's true, people are going to look, 90% of people are not going to inform themselves further. They're going to base it off of what they heard in the news. And the news is saying a lot of the bad things, like talking about all the horse deaths and everything. So you have to approach and this is the way that everyone in the industry should do it from now on. You have to approach stuff like this with the idea of, there's a microscope over this situation. Like it or not, that is the way that it is. There's a microscope on horse racing. It has been, it's not like the 2019 was the first time that there was ever a microscope on horse racing, but the microscope has been there before. It's just that it's gotten more publicized this year. I mean, you've got like opponents of the industry now, like they're on. And the one thing I'm going to say is, I don't want to talk a lot about Horse Racing Wrongs on here, but Horse Racing Wrongs was recently on an ESPN show. Now, the one thing that I will say is that ESPN show was a weekday 1 p.m. time slot, which no one watches TV. No one watches sports talk TV at that time of day. So, but the one thing is that they did mention on that show that they opened it up for the Jockey Club to show up or to send a representative to be on the show, and the Jockey Club declined to do that. The one thing that I'm going to say is someone, whenever there's an opportunity where you're going to let an opponent of the industry go on a show where people are going to hear it, people who don't necessarily know any better. And I'm not saying that these people are against horse racing. They may not know any different. And put yourself in the position of a kind of person who doesn't really know much about horse racing. If you heard something, like if you heard the false propaganda that the animal rights activist groups put out, would you not believe it? And that's not me saying at all that they have anything that they say is true, but would you not believe it? I don't think you can say you wouldn't believe it. Or you can't. I don't think any person can say that they wouldn't believe it, because the false propaganda. Now, it has been proven that it's either sometimes partially incorrect or a lot of times completely incorrect at all. Like I'll tell you, I was having a conversation back and forth with some person who runs a vegan. I'm not sure whether or not it's an animal. It was a vegan person who has a podcast about vegan life, whatever. The person's name was Vegan Danielle, and she had Patrick on her show. And, I made a comment on her Instagram page about the pizza thing. And she was talking to me, and she's like, that's fine. Like, but I don't care, like, what he does with his. Now, that's not the first time I've heard this from vegan people. Is I don't care what he puts on his pizzas. I've heard that many times before, that X person doesn't care. X animal rights activist will say, I don't care what he does with his pizzas. Horse racing is what horse racing is. And, we've heard that enough. And, when they say that, they just sound like complete idiots. So, but, the things that she was saying were either inaccurate, partially inaccurate, or just completely wrong. Like, she tried to tell me that courts shut down Hollywood Park, which any person with a brain knows that that's not the case. But the one thing that I will say is that when there's an opportunity, when someone who is against the industry is going to be on a form of media where people in the public will hear it, and you are offered a opportunity to combat that, and you decline, you should never decline it. So whoever in the Jockey Club, someone needs to put their big boy pants on and go on ESPN and say, listen, we have these issues, but these issues can be solved. That's really the case, is that someone in the industry, it should never be a case where someone says, we're not going to go on, because you're giving the person a free avenue to say whatever they want unchecked. And that's really the way that it should be looked at. All right, so now that we got that all out of the way, they're re-showing the stretch run of the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Anyone who saw that, I'll open it up to you guys. What do you think happened in that race? Do you think it was a good thing, good call, bad call, whatever, what have you? I personally, I don't want to say that I agreed with the call, but I also don't want to say that I disagreed with the call. I would say that I'm probably in the middle on it. I would probably say I wouldn't have made the call. I don't think I would have made the call there, because it didn't look like that there was anything super blatant. Like, yes, the horses made contact with each other. Yes, Code of Honor went to the front. But, it didn't look like that it was super effective. It really affected the outcome of the race. Now, the stewards, credit to them, they had the guts to make a call that probably not everyone would have made. I wouldn't have made the call. A lot of other stewards wouldn't have made the call. in a race like that. Now, I don't think that that was as blatant as the Kentucky Derby. So I think that the Kentucky Derby was pretty blatant. And, there was really no excuse for the horse to stay up. Maximum Security. I've had that feeling about it for probably since the Kentucky Derby. So, but I'll open it up to you guys. What do you think? Do you agree with the call? Do you not agree with the call in the Jockey Club Gold Cup? Let me know. I wouldn't have made the call, but I can see why the decision was made. And, I'm not a racing steward. Those people at the New York Racing Association are racing stewards. So I will yield to them and say that, I maybe wouldn't have made the call, but they are the people whose job it is to make these kind of decisions. And they decided to make the decision that they believed was the right one. That being said, I really don't think, regardless of what was with the decision, regardless of what goes into it, I still think that Code of Honor is a really, really good 3-year-old. I thought that going into this race. I have thought that since the Dwyer, that Code of Honor was going to have the ability to turn into a really, really good 3-year-old. And I think Code of Honor, at this point, Maximum Security not running in the Pennsylvania Derby changed a lot. Like I said on whenever I think it was Thursday. Yeah. Like I said on Thursday, I think that Maximum Security, his Horse of the Year bid is over. I don't think he wins Horse of the Year this year. He needed to win the Pennsylvania Derby to win Horse of the Year, and I don't think he's going to win Horse of the Year off of not running in a race since the Haskell. Now, he probably does not run on the Breeders' Cup. That's Jason Service indicated that, and it is what it is. He's making the decision based on what is best for the horse, and it's not good horsemanship to run a horse off of a 15-week layoff, and the Breeders' Cup is going to end up being 15 weeks between the Haskell and the Breeders'. It's going to end up being 15 weeks between the Haskell and the Breeders' Cup. So I don't think that it would be the right decision to run him. Now, there's 6 million reasons to do so, but I don't think that it's the best decision to run him in that race, the Breeders' Cup Classic, especially with horses that would have raced more recently than he has. I mean, that's just the way that I feel about it. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me on that. That's the way that I feel about it. Now, the one thing that I will say is that I don't want to say that Code of Honor is a slam dunk 3-year-old championship nominee. It's the slam dunk 3-year-old championship, even with his win via the disqualification. I don't think it's because he won the Jockey Club Gold Cup by being disqualified. Even if he was second, it would still be he ran a very good race against Vino Rosso, who is a solid older horse. But Code of Honor has lost Maximum Security twice. And that's the one thing that I think would dissuade people from voting for him, is the fact that Code of Honor has not beat Maximum Security this year across the wire initially. Now, he did beat him, following a disqualification in the Kentucky Derby. And we've made all the big deal about that. That is the way that it is. I don't think the Code of Honor is, I actually should say, I think Code of Honor is a better horse right now than Maximum Security. I really think that. He's really, really good. If not better, then he's definitely on par with him. And it's a 2-horse case right now between Code of Honor and Maximum Security. And I felt that he was going to need to win both the Jockey Club Gold Cup and at least run, I think he has to run top 2 in the Breeders' Cup Classic to win the champion 3-year-old. And also Maximum Security, Maximum Security may run in the Clark Handicap. Obviously. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that, what am I trying to say? I think that Maximum Security, I just lost my train of thought on that. What was I talking about? Code of Honor. Yeah. I was talking about the Clark Handicap, actually. The Clark Handicap, You can poo-poo that the decision to go there all you want. It's a grade 1 race. And, prior to the Breeders' Cup, that was a legit grade 1 race that could not necessarily decide an Eclipse Award because the Horse of the Year race used to be the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Now it's the Breeders' Cup Classic. But I think the Clark Handicap would be a very good spot for maximum security. And if he wins that, he's got 3 grade 1s on the year. Florida Derby, Pennsylvania, Florida Derby, Haskell, and then the Clark Handicap. And then if you want to, you also can look at the Kentucky Derby, even though he was disqualified in that. A lot of people I feel would give Maximum Security credit for that because Maximum Security crossed the wire first in that race and was as good in the Derby as he was. Now, that's just the way that I feel about it. But yeah, so, I mean, that's just the way that I feel about it. I don't know if you have any opinions on that. Did I call the long shot of the Pennsylvania Derby? I don't think so. I have to go back. I don't remember that. I mean, I know I picked Mr. Money, but, I think I did say something like the fact that I thought that I think I did say something about that. I thought that this would be a race that would be won by a long shot. Oh, yeah, right. I do actually remember that. I said something about Math Wizard. I don't remember. I do stuff and then I forget about it immediately. That's just because I have so much. I do a lot of stuff now because I have also taken on running another podcast. So I'm all over the place. So I say something and then it goes out of my head once I say it. Or not everything, but it happens a decent amount of times. Oh, I'm not disrespecting Code of Honor. I just think that I just think that, right now, I think if the year ended today, Code of Honor 2 grade 1 wins, Maximum Security 2 grade 1 win. 2 official grade 1 wins. Oh, wow. I don't actually remember saying that, but I trust you because you watch the video. I also don't watch my videos, so this is just something that I don't do. I don't watch my videos, but we're not disrespecting Code of Honor here. I've been on him since and I thought Tacitus was finally going to get stuff his own way in the Travers, and he didn't. And that's the only reason why I picked Tacitus over Code of Honor in that race, because I thought Tacitus had a chance to do something better, to finally get stuff his own way. Now, I think at this point, there's no more excuses for Tacitus. I don't know what it is. Maybe I think Jose Ortiz still rode him. Because I know I said after the Travers Stakes that Tacitus, there needs to be a rider change. And I got to check that. I actually don't remember because I didn't check that. Yeah, no, Tacitus, I think, is a lot better than he's run up to at this point. But Tacitus, a 3-year-old championship for him is out of the question. Jockey Club Gold Cup. All right. I can't find this, so let me see. 2019 Jockey Club Gold Cup. Let me get the jockey. All right, here we go. So, yeah, Ortiz did run him, so maybe it's a jockey change. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Just get rid of all there's no excuses at this point anymore for Tacitus. He's run past couple of races where nothing went wrong for him. You can say Derby he was wide, Belmont he was wide, and then he stumbled at the start of the Jim Dandy. He has had 2 consecutive races where he just didn't get the job done. And Tacitus, even if he wins if he wins the Breeders' Cup Classic, which I would be surprised. I would be really surprised if he does win. if he does win, he doesn't deserve. He's not going to win 3-year-old championship. Now, at this point, I think horses, like I said, horse of the year is out of the question for maximum security. I think it's now down to bricks and mortar. It's down to bricks and mortar, Midnight Bisou, and Maitoli. Now, Maitoli, I think Maitoli has to win the Breeders' Cup Sprint to be able to win Horse of the Year. And I think Bricks and Mortar has to win to be Horse of the Year. All three of those horses have to win. Now, if any one of those lose, then I think they're out. I think even with the season that Bricks and Mortar has had, I think he's done if he loses. But, they're probably going to go Breeders' Cup Mile with him because he's too good of a horse to risk not winning a Breeders' Cup race. And I have said this enough time. I've said this a million times, and I will say this for as long as I'm in the industry. I will never get mad at an owner for putting their horse in the best position to win a Breeders' Cup race. There's a lot more if you can win. Let's just take the mile on the turf. Yes, the turf is more money, and you would probably get similar money for running second in the Breeders' Cup turf or winning the Breeders' Cup Mile. But there's something about having a win in a Breeders' Cup race as opposed to having a second in a Breeders' Cup race. Now, no one would say that Bricks and Mortar is a bad horse if he were to lose to Enable. But I think with that being said, he needs to Bricks and Mortar be put in the best position to win a Breeders' Cup race. And I think the Breeders' Cup Mile is that race. I don't think there's any opportunity. I don't really think there's any real smart thing. Looking at it from an honest perspective, obviously we as fans would love to see him and Enable, the two best horses, run against each other. The last race, are you talking about the race that she ran today or the race that she ran at Saratoga? Because the race that she ran today, the Beldame was against Wildcat. Okay, so Saratoga, that was a personal instance. She ran against Elate. Who there's questions that Elate might run on the Breeders' Cup Classic this year. Now, I'll address that right now. This is the year to run a filly in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
Comical Ghost, the winner of this 8th race at Santa Anita, but the concern here over the fallen horse.
Oh, dear God. A horse just broke down.
Inside the 8th hole, he fell. Horse and rider being tended to as soon as we have an update.
Oh, dear God.
It's obviously something that in any circumstance.
Wow.
No one ever wants to see.
I'm not sure. I just saw... Of course, my TV decides to not work. Oh, wow. Yay. I don't know. I didn't see it. The race angle wasn't really that good, but I gotta switch back to Trackside Live then. Of course, they're not showing Santa Anita because they don't have the rights to it. But a horse did fall. There was stuff with the rider and with the horse. Come on. Are you talking about are you referring to the horse that fell in that race? Because my TV cut out, so. My TV cut out, so. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, yeah, so the 8 horse temporarily off here. What did they take it off the air for? What is going on with this? Did NBC Sports cutting out the fact because a horse broke down? Is that seriously what they're doing? That's seriously why this is happening. Is anyone else watching the race right now on NBC Sports Network and it's not working? If anyone in here has NBC Sports Network and would like to check that out, I would appreciate if anyone whose cable does carry NBC Sports Network, check if yours is working, because that's where the races are on right now, and It says that it's temporarily off the air, so maybe they cut it because there was the horse breakdown, but well, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Oh, yeah, TVG just switched to Churchill, but TVG is with handicap. They're dealing with handicapping races, so isn't that wonderful? Great way to start off the weekend. Absolutely wonderful way to start off the weekend. Absolutely wonderful. Broke down badly. Yeah, Jay Pridman just said it was bad. Mario Gutierrez, something happened with Mario Gutierrez, so not good. Not good. The name of the horse. All right, let me respond to this. Well, that's just wonderful. Well, I mean, you fall off a horse going 40 miles an hour. It's gonna not gonna be good. Even if he didn't get, I mean, it's good news obviously that he didn't get run over, but well, let me go to NBCSports.com because I do have that. So okay, so Gutierrez is sitting up on the track right now. That's what, according to Jay Pridman, that's what's going on right now. So, the medics are having him lift his head and his neck. So that's what Jay is saying right now. All right, here we go. Because the riders those guys are really experienced with riding stuff like that, so they're really experienced, so all right, just give me a couple minutes. I'm trying to log on to NBC Sportsnet on my NBCSports.com so I can get the races. And it's going to take me a couple of minutes. So yeah, this is exactly what we don't need. We don't need stuff like this happening. We don't need stuff like this happening. All right, well, I'm going to download the NBC Sports app on my cell phone right now. Okay, Gutierrez was able to get up and walk into the ambulance, so he's okay. Great. Isn't this just wonderful? You know, the entire industry is preaching about how great all the reform efforts are and everything, and then this crap happens. Whatever. You know, this kind of stuff can't happen. This can't happen. All right. I'm going to this out and then come back. Okay, this is obnoxious. This is driving me crazy that this stupid thing isn't working. All right, so well, there you go. There's another incident. There's another freaking incident. Yeah, no, but that's the problem is that people who don't follow the sport just see all the bad stuff. And then there's also, they also have the mindset of, I know this because I know so many people. I know and have interacted with so many people in the anti-horse racing community that, their minds. Now, we can talk about how much of a loser, we can talk about how much of a loser Patrick of Horse Racing Wrongs is with everything, with his crap, but all right, let's see. See, I think I might have gotten it to work. But, their logic is so screwed up that they think that, their mindset is the horse can't talk, so. All right, hang on a second. All right, just give me a second. I gotta get the log. I gotta get my login code for everything. Well, isn't that great? Isn't this great? I apologize for that. All right, give me a second. I'm gonna make a call and ask for my login. So I'll be right back. All right, we're back.
Standing by with Dr. Carpenter. Nick. Yes, I think Dr. Ryan Carpenter is the on-call vet here for the American Association of Equine Practitioners. Dr. Carpenter, just give me an update on MTech.
So I just spoke with Dr. Stead, the track veterinarian, and he commented that when he evaluated the horse, it was quite obvious that he sustained two fractures of his fetlocks. So both front fetlocks were fractured. Based on the severity of this injury, the best option was humane euthanasia.
Just to clarify, those are the ankle joints.
Those are the ankles, that's correct, yes.
Just reiterate for us the pre-race procedures these horses have to go to in order to make the track.
Yeah, so they go through a very rigorous evaluation by veterinarians, both private practitioners and regulating veterinarians on several days before they get entered to run. And they also go through a pre-race exam.
All right, so there you go. There you go. This is not good. That's not good to hear.
If you were to go in and do the intricate surgery that it would take to put bones like that back together, comes
This is not what the sport of horse racing needs.
equal amount of weight on the injured leg right off the bat. Because you've got horses with 4 legs that are 1,000 pounds. Their legs are about as big around as our forearm. And if they can't put sufficient weight on the injured leg, the other
And you know, this is even less.
they can't support the
This is even less
exercise. So
good
it
with
becomes a
what happened
crucial
with what the
to
governor said.
try to repair horses that can't be repaired, whose injuries are beyond repair. That's what the veterinarian described that happened to MTech. And it's something that
The horse's name was M-Tech, by the way.
fans, sports fans, animal lovers, all of us just hate to see it. Go back to Kentucky Derby winner Barbaro. It wasn't the injury. That's not the reason he had to be euthanized. Again, it goes back to that lack of circulation and the blood flow. It was laminitis. And the reason in the end why he had to be euthanized. Our thoughts with everyone associated with MTech having to be euthanized following that incident here at Santa Anita. Racing will continue, and we'll be right back.
All right, so there you go. M-Tech was euthanized. Obviously not good news. Not good, especially at Santa Anita. NBC's there. So that race was on a national network. So, I mean, what can you do? Not much. I mean, you just can't have that kind of stuff. You just can't have that happen in these days. Yeah, I know it's unusual. It kind of seems like something like what happened with 8 Bells in the Kentucky Derby. I know it's not the same. I know it's not the same incident, but and also I just throw this out there just in the event because I have been copyrighted by NBC before. All credit goes to NBC on this. Blah 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 blah. All credit goes to NBC. We did use NBC footage. They own all of it. All right, all that crap's gone. So. Yeah, unusual, but you know, that kind of stuff. It's like what happened with the freak incident at Del Mar. You know, we say that was a freak incident, but they don't care. They really don't care. Okay, so you left. I'm not sure if you heard, but M-Tech, the horse, broke both front fetlocks, was euthanized. And you know, I mean, the vet said what vets usually always say, like that was the only option because because you know the horse, whatever. You've heard that enough. We've all heard that a million times, and I'm not saying that's the wrong case. I'm just trying to look at this from the perspective of you know, again, like I've said, I know all these people I don't have a relationship with anymore because I got pissed off at what I have to say. I don't like everything that everyone always says. Like I'm not saying that the vets, everything they say, you know, that's obviously what the vets are going to say. They're correct, but in the aspect that we are in, like you said, you raised horses, you know stuff about horses. These people who are out here, you know, they don't even want you to have a pet dog or a pet cat or anything like that, and they don't want you to have horses. Their logic is so screwed up that they want everything, like they want animals to be as equal as humans. So, you know, they don't care what happens. It's just that if it happens, they don't care what happened. Their logic is so screwed up that, like, I call it the 5 don'ts. Don't help, don't help, don't eat, don't use. What is that actually? Don't eat, don't use, don't help, don't own. Those are the 4 don'ts. Don't eat, don't use, don't help, don't own. Like, if you're blind and you have a seeing eye dog, these people don't want, you know, the misconception is, and don't ask me why I know all this stuff, but you know, the misconception about being vegan is that you just don't eat them. The way that people who are truly and properly vegan, putting air quotes around them, are you don't do anything involving animals. So, you know, and horse racing involves animals. Of course, we all, as people in the industry, know this, but these are people who have rigid minds and don't want to believe anything. And you tell them stuff that's true, and then they just come back and they say stuff. Never has there ever been, only 3% of the population is vegan. Never has there been such a smaller amount of people trying to force their lifestyle upon such a larger group. 97% of people are non-vegan. And yet these 3% of this population is trying to force their beliefs onto the rest of us. That is never in any other walk of life. That is never has a group so small ever tried to force their lifestyle on other people. And that's not to say that we people in horse racing we aren't for abuse. That's not what people in the industry are. Is there stuff that can be done differently? Yes, of course. Do I think that all these trainers are squeaky clean? No, I don't. But do I think that Jerry Hollendorfer, because he's the guy who gets all the attention, do I think that Jerry Hollendorfer wakes up in the morning and says, I hope I lose 3 racehorses today? No, he doesn't, because you have to have a desire to do anything. If you do anything professionally, you have to have a desire and like doing what you do. That goes with anything. I like doing this media stuff. I wouldn't be doing it every day of my life if I didn't like it. And it's the same thing with horses. It's the same thing with everything else. But the reality is that in this time frame, and especially with the way that Gavin Newsom, the one thing about Gavin Newsom is when he became governor in 2019, stuff changed. There's been a lot of changes in California in 7 months, actually like 9 months, and 9 months under Gavin Newsom. And I'm not going to get all political I'm not meaning to get political, but I'm just saying, Gavin Newsom basically, he didn't abolish capital punishment in California, but he said that California's not going to do that as long as he's governor. Gavin Newsom has done stuff like that. He did that. He can introduce something, and, racing can go. He sounded pretty hardline in that interview that he did with the New York Times. And when you have a governor of a state, regardless of what people's opinion of Gavin Newsom is, he's the governor. You can't, if he wants to do something and he believes something enough, he's gonna do it. And you can say people can say all they want about how they don't like him, but the reality is that he's the governor. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters the fact that the guy's the governor. Okay, so all that out of the way. So yeah, that was the thing. All right, so I guess we've beaten the animal rights stuff to death. 10:14 in the Pennsylvania Derby video. And you know what? Now that you say that, I actually do remember looking that up because I didn't buy anything. I don't think that this made it in, but I have a lot of pre-recording thoughts, and I lose some of them in the track recording. But one of my thoughts was I thought that 30-1 on Math Wizard was an overlay. I think that if you had 30-1 on Math Wizard, that's a gift right there. You take 30-1 on Math Wizard. That was definitely an overlay. Like Country House, 50-1 on him in the Derby, complete overlay. I nailed that 100%. And that's one of the things, I don't like to give myself credit for stuff, but that's one of the things that I really, really was happy about getting. Well, yeah, because he was impeded by the riderless horse. He probably would have won the Indiana Derby if he wasn't impeded by that riderless horse. I don't care about what happened in the West Virginia Derby. I mean, no one cares about Mountaineers, so he was the best horse in the Indiana Derby, and he was impeded by that riderless horse. All right, well, let's see what's the post time for the Awesome again? It's 7:30 right now, or at least my time, so at least 7:30 my time in the wonderful East Coast of the United States. But yeah, that's not good that happens. Really not that good. All right, so I'm gonna take paved in the rodeo drive stakes. All right, people are just going insane about this. Not surprised at all. Not really surprised. Hang on a second, just answering a question that I just got on Twitter. But yeah, so let me think. I'm taking paved. Like I said, I'm taking paved in this race. Bit of a price there. I've been on a roll this weekend. I got the 2 races yesterday. I got the Vosburg. Excuse me. I got the Vosburg and I got the Beldame. Of course, 3 of those 4 races were easy races to get. But that being said, I mean, now the one thing is that I picked Code of Honor and then I changed my pick at the last minute. So kind of would have been 5 for 5 there, but it is what it is.
5 minutes.
Oh, I know what I was going to do. I couldn't even think straight at this point. All right, no, I thought that they were about to go live to the race, so we'll actually have the race commentary on this. So maybe this is actually a better thing because you can actually hear what's going on in the race. I'll turn on the volume on my iPad and we'll be able to hear the race. What am I doing? The Awesome Again Stakes 2019. I got Awesome Again in the Awesome Again Stakes. McKinsey's my pick for this race. I think, McKinsey's a little distance suspect at 1.25 miles, but 1 1/8 I think is his best distance. McKinsey is really good at 1 1/8 miles. Yeah, so post time about 8 o'clock. So we're like, what, 25 minutes away from there. It's probably going to be beyond sooner than that, but I don't know. What are your feelings about some of the horses in this race? Higher Power, going to be a test to see if he's the real deal. Draft pick, same thing with those 2 horses. Seeking the Soul, I don't really think is that good. I've never really been that high on Seeking the Soul, and I think he beat a weak field in the what was that race? He beat a weak field in the I can't remember the name of the race. The Stephen Foster. I'm just having a terrible job with remembering the names of races. And then you have Isotherm and Mongolian Groom. But yeah, so once that races, I got a question on Twitter. If we could talk about the disqualifications, so we're going to talk about that once that race is over. Who you guys got in this race? I already mentioned I have paved. I'm interested to see who you guys have. Beau Recall's the favorite. I think I picked Beau Recall for a race earlier this year. I forget what race that was, but Seeking the Soul. Heard he had some known issues going into the Pacific Classic, which are supposedly clean. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, even if he is clean, you got Bull. What I usually like to say is I'm not saying that Seeking the Soul ran tear. You usually, when you evaluate anything. You take away you take out the best performance and take out the worst performance. And the middle parts of that are usually the way that's going, that for this example, you take out a horse's best effort and a horse's worst effort, and you see what they generally turn into, or what they are at the average. Why all these calls? I think they're, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'll talk about it again because I know you weren't here for this. I wouldn't have made that decision because I didn't really think there was too much. I thought that there was more contact in the Derby. If we're gonna compare disqualifications, and I'll get back to what I'm talking about with Seeking the Soul in a minute.
Story. First of all, she's pint-sized. She's just a tiny little filly, like an imperial hint with a huge heart. She had been an underachiever. So you saw the Keeneland sales graph.
I just got thrown off my train of thought. We'll get back to Seeking the Soul in a minute, but I thought that there was less contact in that race than there was in the Derby. And I wouldn't have made the decision, but I understand why they made the decision. So I don't think it was the best call, but I don't think that it was terrible. Yeah, I'll agree with you. I've seen worse than that too. And by the way, what's in the background is we do have the race audio. So worst performance for Seeking the Soul was his 13th in the Woodward Stakes. And I mean, you can take out one of, he's won a bunch of races before. He'll probably run like in the top, he'll probably be in the top 4 in this race. Now there are only 6 horses in there, so he's probably going to run second. I would say he's a safe bet to run second. If you haven't made a box yet right now, I would probably say box those two. I mean, this is a pretty easy, I'd say for an exacta box, I would go Seeking the Soul, McKinsey. All right, here we go. Rodeo Drive.
They're off in the Rodeo Drive. Beau Recall comes out smoothly. Excellent Sunset on the outside. Now here's Mirth picking up the running down at the rail. And so Mirth will set the pace, crossing the dirt and taking command by a length and a half. Excellent Sunset is now in second. Another 2 back to Elysia's World third. Then comes Beau Recall, who settles in 4th on the inside of Paved and no early speed from Siberian Iris, who's more than 10 lengths off front-running Mirth, who controls the pace.
Oops. Come on.
Mike Smith and leads by
I just
2.5
paused that.
lengths. Excellent Sunset is second, and Elysia's World third.
All right, we didn't lose any.
Beau Recall between horses, Paved 3 wide, 4 lengths off the
We
lead.
didn't lose any
And a big gap
progress to the
still to
race.
Siberian Iris. It's Mirth showing the way by 3 lengths. In second, Excellent Sunset. Then comes Elysia's World down at the rail in third. Beau Recall is racing in between rivals still and Paved outside of her. Those 3 are 4 lengths off the lead. And another 6 back to Siberian Iris. They're heading to the half-mile pole in the Rodeo Drive Stakes, chasing Mirth. Mirth by 2 lengths to Excellent Sunset.
Paved is wide right now.
World still in hand third.
It looks like she's about 4 wide. Now she's gonna have to come around 2 other horses, but she's four paths out.
6 off the leader and 3 more to
But Beau Recall's gonna have to do the same thing. Actually, no.
Here comes Elysia's World taking off the rail to chase her. Excellent Sunset. Beau Recall is starting to find
here
her
she
best
comes.
stride. And then it's another 4 back to Siberian Iris. Top of the stretch. Mirth has something left. Goes on very gamely. Elysia's World chasing with determination.
Neither of them are going to get there.
Beau Recall in the center of the course. Mirth by 2.5. Beau Recall on the outside of Elysia's World, but they're only battling for second as Mirth makes every.
Paved was last.
Beau Recall up for second. Elysia's World third. Photo between Siberian Iris and Excellent.
All right, so
The theft of a $300,000 Grade 1 stakes race, Mirth, and Triple Crown winning jockey Mike Smith.
oh well, there you go, Mike Smith, front of the show right there,
Qualified for the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup.
gets the win.
Mirth had never raced on the early lead before in her 15 career starts, where she had a clear early lead. But the plan was today, what you just saw, trainer Phil D'Amato told me, he thought that if she could get a clear early lead and get comfortable on the lead, that she could run all day. And she certainly turned in a heck of an effort there. A ground-saving trip from Elysia's World. She swings out and tries to make a little bit of run here. Bo Recall always comes with her run, but none of it was good enough because Murph and Mike Smith still had more than enough.
Were
left.
you surprised at how easy of a lead, how comfortable things were for Murph and Mike Smith out there, that nobody applied any pressure?
There was no other speed in the race, really. I mean, a little bit from Excellent Sunset. You could very easily predict it would be Murph, Excellent Sunset, and Elysia's World.
Okay, so per J Priven, Mario Gutierrez has been cleared at first aid and will ride in the finale. So that's good to hear. Mario Gutierrez is not perfectly healthy, but Mario Gutierrez is healthy.
Now a Grade 1 winner, perhaps on her way to the most prestigious long-distance turf race for fillies and mares on grass in North America, the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf.
And again, she'll be a long shot. I'll throw a little stat out here for you. Horses coming out of this race going into the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf so far are 0 for 40. So she's got her work cut out for her, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, the human's okay.
She does qualify a deep, loaded division in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf. You know the Europeans are going to be strong. Sister Charlie, the defending champ, arguably better right now than she was last year.
She's not gonna.
Since last year's Breeders' Cup.
This horse is not going to win.
But,
Murph is not going to win the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Sister Charlie's so much better than her.
Billy Koch, winning owner, standing by with Brittany.
And he is completely out of breath. What did we just witness there?
Theft. Mike Smith, Money Mike. He's unbelievable. I mean, he slowed it down, and he talked about in the paddock about getting her into a rhythm. And when they turned for home, I was like, man, she's still going. It was so excited. I'm so happy for all the Little Red Feather partners who believe in us, and trainer Phil D'Amato, and this filly deserves it. She's had some tough beats lately, and I'm so excited right now. My heart's pumping out of my chest.
Little Red Feather has experienced success at the top of the game at the Breeders' Cup. How good does it feel to be going back this winning you're in?
I haven't even thought about that. It's awesome. I love the Breeders' Cup. It's my favorite thing. I'm a Breeders' Cup historian. I love it, and I hope this filly gets a chance to be there.
I mean, Mike Smith is a good jockey. Plain and simple, Mike Smith is a good jockey.
You can feel the emotion. It's not like, again, it's
All right, I'm going to turn this off so that I don't get copyrighted, even though I doubt NBC's going to watch an hour and a half long live stream. So we'll probably stay through the Osmegen Stakes. I'm not going to go all the way up until 8:30, but I will stay on stream through the Osmegen Stakes, and we'll get some recaps. And I do also just want to mention, because not everyone was here, Gary Stevens' interview that is coming up that will be out in November. I'm going to say it'll be out in November. We will be doing the interview sometime soon. Tentative date is October 16th, I think it is. It's either the 14th or the 16th. Can't even remember. I'm really bad at remembering. It's the 16th. Yeah, so tentative date for the interview is the 16th. Unfortunately, we are going to have to wait until after the Breeders' Cup to get it out, but we'll get the interview out. We'll be able to have that. Well, copyrighted for 5 views. There's been more than 5 views because it totals up the whole amount of views. And that's just the current amount of people that are active right now. I would say probably and I don't want to. I'm trying to strike a balance between recency bias and Code of Honor actually being a really good horse, because he is really, really good. I don't want to take that away from him. But the one thing that I will say that is going to hinder him a lot is the 2 losses that he's had to Maximum Security. He lost Maximum Security in the Florida Derby badly, or not badly, but he got beat by a pretty significant margin. And then he was also third behind Maximum Security in the Kentucky Derby. So, I mean, take what you will from that performance. What is going on? I don't need you to tell me that you're not. I don't need you, NBC, to tell me that they're not showing the on TV commercials. But that being said, I just lost my train of thought. That being said, I don't want to say that Maximum Security is not a good horse. That's not what I want to say at all. Maximum Security deserves every amount of credit that he has had for being being good the first half of the year. But part of the things about winning awards is you have to be able to stay through the whole year. And Code of Honor has run in a lot of races. A lot of the races this year. He's running the Derby, the Dwyer. He's running a race in every single month. Actually, the Dwyer wasn't in June, but May, July, August, and now September. And no, he's going to have a race on November 2nd. So he's running most of the big ones. He's going to run in most of the big ones. So, I think right now, probably he's got 2 grade 1s. Maximum Security's got 2 grade 1s. I would say maybe the Breeders' Cup decides it. If Code of Honor is able to win the Breeders' Cup Classic, or I should say if he runs a big race in the Breeders' Cup Classic and Maximum Security does not run another race for the rest of the year, he's definitely your 3-year-old champion. Code of Honor is. Because, and I also know how the voters do it. The voters go a lot by recency bias. I don't want to say recency bias, but that's the way that people vote, is they go by what the horse did recently. Maximum Security. Jason Service said that they are very hesitant to go to the Breeders' Cup Classic with Maximum Security. And I can understand why. It would be 15 weeks between the Haskell and the Breeders' Cup Classic. That's not easy for a horse to come off against. Especially, and that's not an easy layoff for any horse to come off of, let alone coming off of that long of a layoff in the biggest race of the year. So it's definitely a tough one for him to come back off of no prep between the Haskell and the Kentucky, between the Haskell and the that I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I got scheduled to work tomorrow, so I'm just texting my assigner. So Maximum Security, 15 weeks between the Haskell and the Breeders' Cup Classic. That's a long layoff for any horse to do. So probably his next race, they mentioned something about the Clark Handicap. I'd probably say that's a good spot for him. That would be a good spot for Maximum Security, the Clark Handicap. And if he wins that race, he could take back the 3-year-old championship. Now, if Code of Honor wins the Breeders' Cup Classic, I don't think anything Maximum Security could do wins him the 3-year-old championship. He won't win Horse of the Year. 3-year-old championship is still within grasp. I only started getting into racing this summer after attending. So I'm relatively new and uneducated. My first Breeders' Cup debut. You know what would be good for you to check out once I have this done? And I'm not trying to plug my own content, but I talked about this earlier. I'm not sure if you were at the live there at this point or not, but I'm working on a big project of all the best races in the history of the Breeders' Cup. So from 1984 all the way through to 2018. So that would definitely that's definitely a good video for you to watch if you want to, catch up on some of the action that you may have missed as not being a part of the sport. But glad that you were attended the races and you like horse racing. We need more of that. Yeah, now the one thing that I would say is a portion of that video is already up on YouTube, but it's not the complete form because I posted it for a couple of people that were going to take a look at it for me and let me know if a couple of people that I know that are have been into horse racing for forever and remember Breeders' Cup races that I don't even remember. So that's why a portion of it is up on YouTube. The only reason that I wouldn't recommend you watch that one right now is because it's not complete. So, but that will probably be out within the next week and a half. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know I asked you if you would like to take a look at that for me, and I did. I am actually working on the second part of it because I'm splitting it up. I'm not going all the way through 1984 to 2018 because then the video would be over an hour long, and I don't. I wouldn't want to watch an hour long video, and I don't think there's many other people who would want to. So. But yes, thank you. I appreciate that. What are they talking about with Bob Baffert right now?
We're wrong because
Right now, McKenzie's 1-9, so he's a heavy favorite.
you know, but little by little, you know, the facts are coming in, everything's coming in on it. I'm learning more about the everybody's reporting. So, you know,
Oh, of course, they decided to ask Bob Baffert about the about the incident with Justify.
Seeking your sixth victory in the Awesome Again Stakes. He's a very special horse to you. Just tell us why.
you know, he's a horse that I always knew he was just he had this, you know, these when he was young, when he was a hero, I knew he was a really good horse, and so when he came around, we lost our good friend Brad McKenzie, who was like I knew him from college. He was like one of my brothers and really close to me, probably my biggest fan ever. And so when he passed, we were thinking of the group. We need to name a really good horse for him. I said, do we have any good ones? I think I've got one. And so we'll name him. We're deciding Big Brad or Mackenzie or Big Mac or whatever. So we went with Mackenzie, and I actually think he got faster once he got that name because so he's been very special to all of us, and he's got a group of friends that he hung out with. They'll be out here today rooting him on. So and his mother's still alive and sort of keeps his mother going, Jean McKenzie. So when I hear his name, it's very. So I always feel like a little extra pressure, like when he runs, because I feel like he has a little angel on his back. Brad's watching over him. So far, it'd be nice to, I'm glad he turned out to be a good horse. I'm glad I didn't have to yell them, that was our fear, but he's a really top horse.
Well, good luck today. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
You can really sense that connection between Bob Baffert and this horse Mackenzie for the reasons he mentioned. That is as emotional as I've ever seen Bob Baffert after a race when Mackenzie won the Whitney summer at Saratoga.
And he's right. This horse has gotten to be a really good horse, and Bob's confidence in Mackenzie is starting to really swell. He says he's blossomed. He's a picture of health. He said he's now starting in his mind to put Mackenzie up there.
I think so. Sorry, I missed that question. I was letting Bob Baffert talk a little bit. I think it has effect. I think it has. The Santa Anita Derby was a really slow time. So. Hang on a second, I gotta answer this. I think McKenzie will get in. I think I'll agree with you on that because the notion that I based that off of this year was the fact that he ran horribly in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year. He ran it 1.25 miles earlier in the year in the Santa Anita Handicap, and he got beat in nose. So he got beat in nose. So I think he's going to definitely do a lot better. Okay, good. Mario Gutierrez is going to ride in the final mount in the final race this weekend, or on the final race this Saturday. Yeah, the track is deeper than it was before, so. All right, this race just needs to get going. Yeah, no, it was slower for the Santa Anita Derby. The time for the Santa Anita Derby was really slow. It was like 150. I think it was like 150 for a mile and an eighth. Oh, just wonderful. So Jay Priven just had to delete something from the Stronach group. All right, hang on a second. I gotta. Yeah, a horse did broke down. Well, what do you exactly mean by that? Because the Breeders' Cup is not going to not be at Santa Anita this year. It's too late. It was too late to move the Breeders' Cup in June. So there's no way the Breeders' Cup gets moved now. So what exactly do you mean by the if they're excuse me, if it is at all if it's at all under threat for if the Breeders' Cup meet is under threat? Because there's no no, they can't move it at this point. The Breeders' Cup at this point will not be moved. They will not move it. If they didn't move it if they didn't move it back in June, there's absolutely no way they move it now. They've committed to Santa Anita, and I mean now it's at the point where you don't have a choice. You really don't have a choice of whether or not you have the Breeders' Cup there, because you can't. No, that's you're one of the reasons why it cannot be moved, because people like you have already booked trips out there you have already booked a trip out there. So they were not ever going to cancel that. Because they were not ever going to cancel that. Move the Breeders' Cup because of people like you. So, and they especially this as closer as close to it as it was now. Now they could have gotten away with moving the Breeders' Cup during June, because then people would have had an opportunity to be refunded and everything. But now you can't move it. So don't be concerned about the Breeders' Cup getting moved. Definitely be concerned about protesters being there, though. You'll see protesters there, and it won't be fun. They will heckle you, harass you, whatever. So, like, I mean, if you don't want to be bothered by protesters, then stay far away from them, because they will be obnoxious to you, as they have been obnoxious to me and many other people. But, I mean, while you're walking in, a lot of them will be from the organization Horse Racing Wrongs. While you're going into the Breeders' Cup, if you do see them and they say anything to you, ask them about their leaders' pizza habits, because that's going to be a thing. Yeah, see, Matt Bernier is feeling the same way that I feel about McKenzie. Oh, Nick Luck's taking a shot. Ooh, Nick Luck. That's a big one for Nick Luck. Oh, yeah, it's been on CNN. It's been everywhere. It's been everywhere out here. It's not been a good year for horse racing in this country.
Better hope Dad's not listening, Brittany.
Well, he's watching the horses, so we're good.
Picking against Dad's horse. McKenzie going to be awfully tough. 1-9 with 7 minutes out. We mentioned the Keeneland's grads exiting the rodeo drop earlier. 6 horses in this field. 4 of them were purchased at Keeneland. Higher power.
All right, excuse me for a moment. We're 7 minutes out from the race. I got to make a call for... Actually, hang on a second.
In the next 7 minutes. Stay tuned. The Grade 1 Awesome Again is next.
Yeah, excuse me for a minute. I apologize about that. I had to make that phone call. So, we're like they already said, we're 7 minutes out. It's gonna be sooner. Awesome Again Stakes is almost here. So, who's your pick? Who's your picks for that race? Nick Luck is gonna take a shot against McKenzie. Go with Higher Power. I think that's bold. I really think it's bold. Take a shot and go with Higher Power there. By the way, have fun at the Breeders' Cup this year. It's gonna be fun. We'll be at the Breeders' Cup next year, so I'm looking forward to that a lot. Going to the 2020 Breeders' Cup at Keeneland. What's my computer battery at? Ooh, oh no, we're fine. I got 2 hours left on battery, so Yeah, it's been a wonderful day at Santa Anita. No incidents at all.
I didn't catch.
Oh, shut up. I don't need to hear from Siri right now. It should be fine. I mean, I've never been to the Breeders' Cup before, so I can't. But, I mean, the Breeders' Cup is my personal favorite thing in horse racing. So, you know, as great as the Kentucky Derby is, the Breeders' Cup is all about horse racing. Dave Portnoy, Barstool, president, said this at one point. That the Breeders' Cup is the best thing about horse racing because the Kentucky Derby is just a big party. I really hope there's going to be no more incidents tonight. That's the last thing we need. That is the last thing we need, is another incident tonight. All right. How close? When is this going to be done? NBC ran out of commercials to run, so it just says this coverage will resume shortly. My iPad better not die. That would suck if my iPad died. All right, I'm going to reload this because I'm losing patience with NBC. All right, what the hell's going on?
There's TV, and then there's X1. Streaming services without changing passwords and inputs. Live sports.
I don't follow UK horse racing. I should say this. I would love to be able to follow UK racing a lot, but it's just that with the time zones, it's really hard for the difference in time. It's really hard for me, and I knew I was going to screw this up. I knew I was going to F this up. Okay, what the hell is going on? I just fucked this up. Wonderful. Get rid of this. I want to chuck this thing right now. I hate technology. I mean, technology is great, but I hate it. Technology is great, but I hate it. Okay, what the hell is going on? Why is this not happening? All right. Coverage will resume shortly. Okay, turn this off because. All right, what is going on here? Why is this not working? I don't appreciate this not working. I should get back to your question. I would love to follow UK racing. UK racing is maybe at some point. I mean, I have been thinking out of the book. I've been, the thought has come up with me of what's going to happen to Racing Rundown if American racing goes away. So I don't know what's going to happen, but UK racing has been something that's crossed my mind, and I would love to be able to follow UK racing closer, but it's hard because of the time zones. All right, let me see if I can get this on my phone because. Oh, this is annoying. This is really annoying. I really apologize for not really talking for this. I'm beyond frustrated with NBC right now. Shit, they're in the gate. All right. Come on. They're in the gate. Well, update me what the hell is going on.
Would you rather have a battery that delivers extra life or extra power?
I have the whole pitch to come. Extra life. I'm going to disagree. Extra power. Extra life.
I want to chuck this thing so bad right now.
Versus Coppertop, these Duracell Optimus power tools, because both is better than not both.
All right, well, I'm not going to get this up, so.
Slow laptop? How about one that boots up fast? It's switching time. How's that for fast? Switch to booting up as fast as 6 seconds. Switch to Chromebook.
Oh, what the hell? I could put this on TVG. I'm an idiot. Who won?
Mongolian Groom with an upset here. The Awesome again punching his ticket to the Breeders' Cup by taking this win.
Didn't I literally just say Mongolian Groom's not going to win this race?
Made the long shot case for not to win, but to hit the board. The race changed shape totally at the start. Higher Power stumbles badly at the break right here.
Didn't I literally just say that Mongolian Groom's not going to win this race?
So Higher Power to me might lost all chance in the race, but a huge upset here. 25-1 Mongolian Groom.
I didn't even think about going on TVG. That was my fault. I could have done that.
What a hard carries and how well managed he's been, and it paid off today for his connections. Scott. Enibish Dambat, Mongolian Groom springing the upset. What did you think when you saw?
Well, yeah, but I literally come on here and I'm like, I said, doesn't this horse had no chance, and then he just goes on and wins the race. So
Since you sent him postward in the TVG Pacific Classic, why do you have so much confidence to run him against these grade 1 types?
What is confidence? My English is not so good.
Confidence means почему ты думаешь, что ты имеешь шанс выиграть? Почему?
oh well, isn't that wonderful? So I mean, that just screws up everything going into the Breeders' Cup. I don't know. I mean, McKinsey runs second. It is what it is.
We know that he's not nominated to the Breeders' Cup, and I know the plan is to take him back to Asia. Is that still the plan?
I like to go to Japan. Yeah. You know why? Because all sumo champions in Mongolia. I want to Mongolia.
All right. Well, they just said that Mongolian Groom's not going to the Breeders' Cup, so that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. What did we say about Code of Honor? He's very distant suspect. What did we say at all? I mean,
Even without winning this race, Mike, I made the long, wordy case going in. What a job he's done with this horse this year. He even sent him back to Saratoga, ran well in the woodwork. And Mike, if you can find an excuse for McKenzie, I don't. He got beat on the square. He got a good trip. He moved up. He put away the other horses, but he can't get by. And he's not getting by any point in the race.
yeah. You know what I think that this is a good sign for. This, if anything, is the reason you run a late in the Breeders' Cup Classic this year. That's how you run. This is why you run a late in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Calumet Farms, congratulations, as they are the winning breeders here of Mongolian.
All right. Well, that just screwed everything up.
Well, yeah, I want to piggyback on what you're saying about Mr. Sevilla there. Didn't he give Mike Smith a bit of his own medicine there? Because McKenzie was in the process of making the lead into the clubhouse turn. Abel Sevilla said, no, I don't think so.
I think that, if you're someone who wants to see interesting in the breed, and I apologize, I'm not talking over this entire race because I want to hear what they're saying about Mongolian Groom and everything. But I think, this is some good news. I think this is good news if you're someone who wants to see a late run in the Breeders' Cup Classic. I think that this, this shows that there's no reason not to run a late. I mean, I really have no idea what to think at this point. Well, I mean, we've been here for a long time. What should be the odds on her? I would probably go 5-1 on a late. She could be a favorite, though. I feel like a lot of people would pick a late because she's the shiny new toy and hasn't really run in any of the hasn't really run against any of these horses. So it's a good chance she could be the favorite. McKinsey had every opportunity to go by him in the stretch. He just didn't.
No, talked about him being an old school racehorse too. He's game. He fights back. Obviously, his best race today, and full credit to the connections. They dance all the dances. This horse keeps showing up. Again, he's best. And Gallop on Mike.
All right, well, that just screwed everything up. Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, does anyone have any last points that they'd like to get out there? Because I think that's about it for tonight. I mean, we've been here for a long time, running on 2 hours. We're gonna have you're gonna have a lot of coverage of upcoming Breeders' Cup races in the next coming week. Yeah, late's probably your favorite for the Breeders' Cup Classic if she runs. All right, well. I guess that's it for today. Tonight was insane. Everything. At least there were some, like in other races there was some closure. Well, I'll open up for like the last couple of minutes for any last minute questions, and then we'll call it a night. All right, so I guess that's about it for tonight. If, like I said, if there's any last minute questions, I'll give you like another minute or so.
Quick reminder, all night tonight at Remington Park, 10% bonus on trifectas.
Oh, that's something I'll just put out there just in case anyone is into the betting trifectas at Remington Park. There's a 10% bonus on trifectas if you hit it at Remington Park. So if you're looking to get a little bit extra money, play at Remington Park. Play trifecta at Remington Park. So I guess that's it for tonight. I'll see you guys in the coming week. Have a good one.
2 first-time starters.